Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki discussed the support for senior citizens, which will be one of the pillars of the Polish New Deal. He also mentioned additional benefits for the retired and pensioners, which were established during the rule of the Law and Justice government. In February, the leadership of the Law and Justice Party accepted the New Deal programme, which includes investment plans and changes such as how to increase earnings to make incomes more attractive. Today, Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki said that support for seniors is very important. We are about to rebuild Poland after the pandemic. The flywheel for emerging from the crisis will be a new socio-economic programme, the Polish New Deal. Solutions will be implemented to facilitate everyday life, improve safety and improve access to healthcare. Support for seniors will be one of the pillars of the Polish New Deal. Our government will continue to work to improve your financial situation year by year. Easier access to medical specialists, mental health support and support with daily activities are things which our seniors need. Stanisław Swed, Deputy Minister in the Ministry of Family, Labour and Social Policy, said that apart from the indexation of pensions, the government is also planning other action. The programme Active Plus, it will be the amount of 200 million Polish zloty in the nearest 5 years, which is 40 million zloty per year. These are the activities related to activity and support related to care, which is Care 75 Plus, directed to communities of up to 60,000 inhabitants to improve the system of care. This year, as a result of indexation, retirement benefits increased by over 4%. All pensioners will receive the 13th pension paid in April in the amount of the lowest benefit, which is over 1,060 Polish zloty net, and at the end of the year they will receive the so-called 14th pension. Its amount will depend on an individual pensioner's income. Coronavirus cases are on the rise in Poland. The Ministry of Health reported over 17,000 new infections yesterday, and a further 400 people have died. Since the beginning of the pandemic, we have had nearly 1,830,000 SARS-CoV-2 infections in Poland. To date, almost 46,000 people have died. Almost 4,100,000 vaccines have already been administered as part of the vaccination campaign against the coronavirus. Over 2,640,000 people have received the first vaccination and nearly 1.5 million people have received the second. From tomorrow onwards, the vaccination programme will be opened to people born in 1952. Their vaccination is scheduled to start on March the 22nd. On March the 18th, registration of people aged 68 and 67 is to begin, and on March the 22nd, registration for the vaccination of people aged 66 and 65 will begin. The coronavirus pandemic in Europe may be in full swing, but the European Parliament is focusing on some really important topics instead. For example, it debated government attempts to silence free media in Poland, Hungary and Slovenia. The Polish government is discussing the introduction of tax on television advertisements to cut the use of tax optimization schemes by top media companies operating in Poland, but some insist on portraying this as an attack on free speech. The Polish government wants to introduce a tax on advertising, which is a tribute imposed on the free media, because the government treats them as an enemy. Another attack on freedom of speech strengthens the authorities' authoritarian ambitions and undermines European Union values. Unlike most of you, I am Polish, and I know the Polish media and their situation at first hand. Therefore, I will tell you about the facts and not about fake news. First, the Polish constitution guarantees freedom of speech, freedom of the press and prohibits censorship. The law we are talking about is at the early stage of discussion. It is a tax on advertising and it is in line with the recommendations of the European Commission from 2018. Another topic today at the European Parliament was the alleged LGBT-free zones established by some communities in Poland. The mechanism of this manipulation is to consider the local government Charter of Family Rights, adopted by many municipalities in Poland, as a discriminatory measure. In fact, the communities want to support families. Communities accused by the activists leading the LGBT-free zone manipulation may sue him for defamation. The European Parliament wants to link the disbursement of funds to the fulfilment of ideological demands by member states. Therefore, the demands that the European Commission recognise the fulfilment of LGBT demands as an element of the rule of law. A feature of propaganda only, the so-called LGBT-free zones are considered a fact. In Poland, the creation of such zones leads to associations with everything that happened before the Second World War, and none of us would like to return to zones free from Jews, or free from Christians, or free from any other group. The authors of the website Atlas of Hate and the creator of the photographic project LGBT Free Zone were groundlessly sued by local authorities or fundamentalist organisations demanding significant financial compensation, and they fell victim to a smear campaign in which they were called liars because of their use of creative tools in defending LGBT people. The Minister of Justice, Zbigniew Ziobro, referred to today's vote in the European Parliament. The elites of Brussels want to impose an ideological left-wing and extremely liberal agenda on Poland at all costs, pushing for solutions that will discriminate against the vast majority of Poles who do not agree with the agenda of the extreme left. Creative tools for defending LGBT people, mentioned in the resolution, include the pictures taken by activist Bart Staszewski, who shot plaques with false information about LGBT-free zones next to the names of the cities that passed the local government charter of family rights. Some of the victims found the manipulation harmful and sued Staszewski for defamation. Let us pay attention to the word freedom, as it is known since the French Revolution. There is no freedom for the enemies of freedom, and who is the enemy of freedom? In this perspective, all those who believe that there is no problem with LGBT rights because they are not violated in Europe are the enemies of freedom. If you want to collect funds, pacify or weaken a given country, you are looking for an excuse. It's easiest to say that there is no freedom there. All the great tragic events in our history, including the partitions, consisted of the fact that someone defended the freedom of a group within Poland. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.